Alright students, so today I'm going to begin with the learning intention and the success criteria just to know what our goal is going to be by the end of today. So just to read the learning intention for you, it's the mathematicians represent concepts using graphs, equations, and tables. So this part is going to be my why, my non-math. Today we're going to look at the connection between solving quadratic equations and the x-intercepts. And although most of us already get this, I'm going to go ahead and review it so that we have a concrete example of what it is. And by the end of the day, you should be able to describe how solving quadratic equations and x-intercepts on a parabola are related using words. So in this example, same example from the do now, we already solved it in class, and if you're confused, please go back and watch the videos on how to factor. But in this case, x is going to equal 5 and negative 1. Now notice how I color-coded this on purpose. So if I'm talking about just the x-axis, x is going to happen when it's negative 1, so it's going to be right here. You go ahead and circle that one in black. And x is also going to happen at 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let me circle that here. Now, what is the connection? If I go ahead and graph it, I also know that my y-intercept is just going to be my c. In this case, it's going to be negative 5, so it's going to cross through negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, what I'm trying to get across here, if I can move this, is that the x-intercepts are actually the same, so I'm going to say equal as solving. So every time you solve anything, you're actually also finding the x-intercepts, and that's the relationship between both of those, and I'm going to go ahead and bubble that just because it's going to help us solve and graph later. So let's come back to this. Now if I want to graph this, it's going to look something like this, where the x-intercept right there is going to be negative 1, 0. This x-intercept is going to be 5, 0. That's how that works. So again, every time you solve it, negative 1, 5, 5, you're solving it, you're finding the x-intercepts as well. And very similarly, actually a lot simpler, c you're always going to have in the graph, so c in this case is 0, negative 5. Now this is all we're going to focus on today. Notice that my parabola is not the best just because I'm only going to focus on the intercepts for today. Now here's another example, but before I start, please submit your answers on is this going to be facing up or down, and submit a short explanation of how do you know. Now hopefully you submitted already, but most of us can already see that. Let me actually review what we had said. There's two types of parabolas that we're looking at right now. There's one that faces up, and there's one that faces down. I'm going to go ahead and draw the little smiley faces. Remember, the idea is that if you have a positive attitude, let me change this. If you have a positive attitude, you're going to be happy, it's going to be facing up. And if you have a negative attitude, it's going to be facing down. And how do I know if it's positive or negative? It's always going to be in terms of A. In this case, A is negative 1 because there's an imaginary 1 right there. So A equals negative 1. It's going to be negative, so I know it's going to be facing down. How do I know? Same idea, A is negative, so it's going to be facing down. Alright, so let's get into another example. Solve the following without graphing. Now if I told you, remember, let me write this over here, that solving is the exact same thing as finding the x-intercepts. So if I keep that over here, and if I know that solving is the exact same thing as the x-intercepts, then all I really need to look for is where does this line cross the x-axis? Well, lucky for you, I actually even already wrote it for you, so it's going to be at negative 3 and at negative 1, because this right here is negative 3. This right here is positive 1. Sorry, I said negative 1. It's going to be positive 1. So if I want to solve it by just graphing, just count where it crosses the x-axis. It's going to be negative 3 and 1. Notice how you don't even need to know what the equation is. Now again, the y-intercept I gave you, here's the x-intercept. Here's the x-intercept. This point, hopefully you remember, is going to be the vertex. And this point right there where it crosses is going to be the y-intercept. And in this case, it is going to be at 3. Now, some of you might notice that I'm giving you coordinates, but I'm saying that the x-intercept is just at -3 because I'm talking about the x-axis, or I'm talking about the y-axis. Let me color code the y-axis too. Make sure you're always labeling so that we know what we're talking about. So when I say it's at -3, really it's going to be at -3, 0. When I say it's 1, really it's at 1, 0, and the y-intercept, really it's at 0, 3. So keep that in mind. Go ahead and start the classwork, and please let me know if you have any questions.